If you're struggling with getting stuff done, a morning routine can help you make progress toward your goals. But the key is creating a routine that works for you. So I'd like to welcome you to the Strategic Life Show, where we talk about routines that help Christian moms overcome overwhelm and make time for the things that they love. So let's talk about morning routines. Now, when people hear morning routines, they often think, oh, it's this big, elaborate plan that people with no kids like to do, where they do yoga for an hour and they do all kinds of tinctures and they make special teas. Who has time for that? Well, if you're a mom, you probably don't have time for that. And that's probably not the stage of life that you're in. So let's talk about morning routines that can work for moms, especially moms that have kids at home, kids who are in school, and probably moms who are working from home. So right now, that's me. I'm a mom, I work from home as a copywriter and content strategist, and I'm still homeschooling my kids. So we'll look at 4 different things that you can do that will help you get this routine, this morning routine in practice, because it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't mean complicated morning. It doesn't mean a complicated, extensive, wake up ritual. So basically, here's the 4 things you need to know. Number 1, let's get clear on what's most important. What are the most important things for starting your day? And what are the most important things that really have to get done? We're not talking about, oh, it'd be nice if they get done, but what are the really important things? Like what are the things that are not optional, that are essential to your morning? So that's where you kind of need to sit down and think through, okay, what actually has to happen? Do people have to get out of the house by a certain time? Well, if so, that's an essential thing, and you need to start thinking about, how can I make a routine that will support us getting out of the house at the right time with less stress. So number 1 is get clear on what's important, because once you know what's important, it's a lot easier to work around that. All right, step number 2, make a plan for it. I know it sounds really obvious, but often we don't accomplish what we're working on because we don't actually have a plan. We just think that, if we just wake up in the morning, then everything's gonna magically happen on its own and it's all good, we're all good. But the problem is, if we don't actually know what needs to happen and have some sort of plan to make that happen, it's going to be really hard for you to get done what needs to happen. So that might mean planning for breakfast, and it might mean planning for the clothing that the kids need to wear. It might mean planning for rides. It might mean planning for driving kids to a bus stop or some other way that they're going to school, if they're going to school. So these are things that you need to have a plan for before you get to the moment. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to get out the door or to get done on time what needs to be done that morning. So point number 2 is to make a plan for it. Now, point number 3, you've made your plan, but now you might need to be flexible, because sometimes the best laid plans don't actually work out the way you planned. That's why it's helpful to have plans, because if you have something to work with, then you can make a pivot. And that's part of the reason when I do my daily planning in my calendar, I write it in pencil, because a lot of days it has to be erased and things had to be shifted around because, something didn't happen quite the way that I expected it to. So I need to have the flexibility in my day where I can adjust to things as they happen. Now, point number 4 is start the night before. So if you want to have a morning routine, it's good to know what you're going to be doing the next morning, and also have some of those basics prepared. So if you're going to be getting out the door in the morning and you've made a plan, that's great. Is there something you could do to make that plan easier the next morning? Maybe if you're leaving and the kids are taking their lunch to school, maybe the best thing to do is to make lunch the night before, so that people only have to grab their lunch and they don't have to try to make it in the morning. because that's just one more thing that has to be done in the morning. Even if you've planned for it, it can be a really a tight time squeeze in the morning. So a lot of times it can be really helpful to have things done the night before. Another area where you can do this is picking out clothes. Like, what are you going to wear the next day? If you're in a place where it gets really cold, you have the appropriate clothing. Do you need your layer that goes under your clothes for that day? Do you need your hat and your mittens and your scarf and your big jacket? If so, make sure those are out and ready to go the next morning, so that you're not rushing around trying to find the clothing or the outerwear that you need to leave the house. So starting the night before, maybe that means putting something in the refrigerator that is going to be for dinner the next day. That can be another way to simplify your morning. Is you don't have to think, oh, I've got to get the frozen meat out of the refrigerator because you did it the night before. So that is another way that you can start the night before as you're working toward creating a morning routine. So I hope these 4 points are useful. If you're looking for ways to make a smoother week, be sure to check down in the description of the video, because I have got a link to a freebie you can get from my website that will help you take the 5 steps to make your week smoother. So we're talking about morning routines here, but if you could use some help creating a smoother week, I've got a free planning resource that can help you make a plan for your week. And then there's 5 days of emails that will walk you through each step. So be sure to sign up to get the free resource on planning your week, and I look forward to seeing you next time.